Live, I think? Neat. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope you guys are having a good time. We're here. I'm just finishing off some ice cream. Who we got? Hello.
Dapper Dinosaur. I guess I'm the first thing left to right top.
Oh, Dapper, you're cutting out like crazy.
Wait,
Yeah,
okay, hold on. Is this any better?
That is way better. There we go. Did you lose your microphone in your tie?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I had one of those little clip-on mics. Is very small. Dropped into the little hole in the tie where you tie it. Sorry about that.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm the Dapper Dinosaur. I have a channel called the Dapper Dinosaur. I have a different channel called Top Hats Off where I do random stuff like gameplay or art things sometimes. You should check out the Dapper Dino channel, and then only if you really like me should you bother with Top Hats Off, because it's mostly trash.
And who's your partner up there? Yeah, that's you next.
I think that is me next. Yeah, because what are we going clockwise? I am Erica. That's Gutsick Gibbon. For those of you who follow me on, I don't know, the web, the cyberspace. I think that's what the youngsters are calling it these days, huh? I do anthropology, paleontology, zoology, and videos about primates, and also occasionally, very rarely, of course, I like to bust creationists for nonsense that they put out. For all to see. So that would be my whole deal.
Very
Absolutely.
cool.
And if you're subscribed to me, go subscribe to Erica, because we do a lot of stuff together.
We do. Dapper and I are sister channels.
So we've got Unholy Roast here, but they seem to be having trouble with their microphone. Unholy Roast, are you there?
It's hard to clip a microphone onto a Steam Ghost body.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Like it gives me time to finish my ice cream.
Yeah, usually with the whole ghost thing, you got to get one of those ghost hunter mics.
Yeah.
Set it out there next to the freshly brewed coffee. That's usually how Unholy Roast is summoned. Yes.
Oh yeah, by the way, we have memberships here, and as you may notice, there's screaming goblins and pucks in the chat.
Yes, those are adorable, by the way.
Hopefully I'll it's cookies and cream ice cream. But what's everybody drinking?
Rum and Coke.
Oh, do we lose Erica too? Oh man, what's going on?
Another one bites the dust.
What's happening?
Okay.
Unholy Roast, back.
There we go. We've got Unholy Roast back.
Am
we
I
lost
here
Erica.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh my God, that's well, what a way to start it out.
It's a 3-person maximum today.
Apparently. Welcome to the membership, everybody who's become a member. I will be going over that on another video. I just didn't want to do it tonight because we got quite a bit to get through. So, Unholy Roast, how you doing and what you drinking?
I am finishing up a White Russian right now.
Ooh, I like White Russians. I got myself a Dark and Stormy.
Ooh, I'm actually a little bit jealous. Those are better than rum and cokes. Although, did you get that on my advice? I feel like I told you to get that.
You told me to make one the other day, and it was like perfect. And I had 1 can of ginger ale left, so I thought I'd break it up for this special occasion.
Well, I'm glad
to
remind you of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Is there a way to do like a poll in the chat?
Yeah, you say 1 in the chat yes and 2 in the chat no. Like if there's you can do them on like community polls, but as for a live chat, you just kind of gotta get people to vote 1 or 2 essentially.
Yeah. You can also
I might.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say you can also do something like link to a straw poll that you make or something like that.
Yeah, you can do something like that, but I don't have one of those set up.
I might have chat decide my next drinks.
Oh, do it up. What are your options?
So I have mead. I can make old fashions, rum and cokes, daiquiri. Daiquiri would take too long. Not a daiquiri. White Russians. Probably more things that I'm blanking on.
So why don't you just tell people what alcohol you have and let them tell you what to make out of it?
Ooh, it's not a bad idea.
You don't have any absinthe, do you?
Any what? Sorry.
Any absinthe?
I do not.
Oh, too bad. Because I was gonna say you could do a absinthe rinse. Like there you go, and then pour mead in.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Erica is on her way back in. She's having a little bit of a Wi-Fi hiccup. Sorry, don't mind you moving me around. Oh God, where am I going? There we go. Hello?
There's mead. It's always mead. Nice.
There was a great view of Erica's forehead.
I'm via myself.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
But I'm
Get-
ready to.
Get closer to your mouth.
I'm in mobile version.
Microphone closer.
Oh God. Hold on. Can you? You know what? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
To see my avatar is dead. Okay, now. Okay, this is better. Yes, until I can get this working.
Yeah,
You're a
sounds
little
good.
quiet, but it's working, yeah.
It'll work.
Okay, I'll try to scream a little louder.
All right, sounds good. Are you guys ready? When we left off, we were at question number 69. Are you guys ready to get
Nice.
going then?
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
All right. I will share up and we will get rolling.
Sweet.
I am ready. Make sure to speak the question since I'm separate from reality right now.
I will be sure to do that.
Oh wait, just kidding. I can actually see it. Sick.
Yeah, there you go. Whoops. Woo! Let's not move our frame. Ow, God! I need to move me up here. Whoop! Forgive my, still learning to produce this properly. There we go.
How dare you?
That's a really stupid thing.
I know,
There.
right? I don't listen. I'm using like the most basic bitch things ever. Okay, here we go. Question number 69, if for those of you who don't recall, was why do you repeat information from scientists when you have no idea what you're talking about?
Oh, okay. You know what? I'm gonna need another drink. Hold on.
And here comes the mead.
Oh, baby,
So, if
I'm ready to go.
If I'm not mistaken, Erica, you have a degree and are working towards another one, correct?
That is the goal. As much as the global situation is fighting.
Oh, we lost her again.
Oh, no, she's still there. She's just quiet.
Oh,
You guys hear? I was gonna.
you
say,
need to
I'm
turn up your
trying to
you need to turn up your sensitivity in Discord. It's dropping you.
Shit. Hold on. Okay,
Dap-
you got someone else talk like this.
Yeah, all right. Dapper, you've also got a degree, do you not?
I do have a degree. I graduated with a degree in history with a minor in medieval and Renaissance studies, although that consisted of almost entirely learning Old English for a few semesters.
Yeah, that's interesting. But
Yeah.
you would say that you have degrees and you're studied on some topics that you may be talking about.
Yes, and there are also topics that I didn't get a degree on, but that I do know what I'm talking about. And when I don't, I let you know. Like when people are like, "Oh, hey, Oculodentavis, is that really a dinosaur?" I'm like, maybe not, but I don't know.
That's
a
fair.
question that came up. Yeah.
Unholy
Emily
Roast,
for
did
sure
you?
has a PhD in coffee.
Oh, well, of course. We're having trouble getting started today. All right, let's see what the next
Oh my
question
goodness.
is.
Yeah.
Unholy Roast went to go get more alcohol. We hadn't even started yet, and Kutsit Gibbon is lost in the ether web.
It's a good sign. Good sign.
Let's go. Oh yeah, the music.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Question 70. Why do you believe something can come from nothing? Oh no.
It's always a weird one for me because
What a good one to start with.
it is. And the weird thing to me is it's like a fairly standard Christian theological position is creation ex nihilo. The idea that God created the universe from no pre-existing anything. Whereas, as far as I know, something coming from a philosophical nothing is not a widely held position among scientists or atheists, I guess. I don't really go around asking atheists, but as far as I know, it's not a commonly held position except by people who are following theological
Apologetics.
ideas similar to Christianity. So it's a weird thing. Like, why do you believe something came from
I don't
nothing?
even
Really
think
what I would
it's.
say.
I'm also not even
Thank you.
convinced that it's all Christianity either. I'm pretty sure this is only really much of an argument that I find in apologetics.
So I've read some works on Christian theology, like systematic works on theology, and it's usually in a lot of them. Like there's a reason it has a stock Latin phrase, but yeah, it's not universal even in Christianity.
Nice. Unholy Roast, what are you thinking?
No, that's honestly, it's something that I find fascinating because I hear this all the time. And exactly what Dapper said, I don't really know, and I wouldn't, because of the the Planck time barrier, like I don't know how you would really investigate any of that. So I just say I have no idea about any of that. But yeah, it does seem to be theists who usually are like, no, my God came from nothing because, yeah, my God.
I think I think that there tends to be a difference when someone says nothing about the concepts that are being talked about. So, like, nothing in physics isn't necessarily nothing. It could be potential energy, and as soon as you have potential for something, it's not really nothing anymore in the sense that an ex nihilo sense that that they're referring to here. Nothing. The concept of nothing is almost a little bit beyond us because you can't describe it. It would have no properties because it's nothing. We were talking about this a little bit on Rum and Coke last night. I don't remember. We got a super chat from Crafty. Hi, Crafty. For 2 says, just want to share the love for the commitment to this. Yeah, I mean, we did 3. We're on episode 3, so the commitment is real.
Well, 29 more to get through. Oof.
Right? So yeah, I think we covered this one. It's just a matter of like differences in theology versus physics. Next question.
No, just keep going. Keep going.
Question 71. How do you rationalize the belief that something can come from nothing?
That's exactly the same as the last question. It just, instead of saying why, you say, how do you rationalize?
Yeah, that's just a great question for that person to answer.
Yeah, we want to throw this question back to them?
Yeah.
That sounds good. Like you're talking about essentially, oh god, what's it called when you just push the question back?
Moving the goalposts.
No.
Doesn't sound right.
Oh, what's it called? Infinite regress.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like,
moving goalposts. Whoops.
I don't know.
I just don't get if I were to take this question seriously, how would my answer differ from the answer for 70? I just don't know. Even if I said that I believed that everything came from nothing, that's
How would you rationalize it? I think it comes down to is a difference between concept of nothing. Sorry, yeah.
Icarus says, question 72, why do you hate nothing?
Why do you hate nothing?
Yes.
Question 72. Where is your evidence that something can come from nothing? There was this one in between, remember? This evidence one. The next one's gonna be why do you hate nothing?
Right. Why do you hate nothing?
Well, again, since I don't really I really don't know very many atheists who would say that something came from nothing, so I mean, at least not without defining nothing in an unusual way, right? Like you get Lawrence Krauss's like a universe from nothing, where a nothing is actually the essentially eternally existing quantum fields, which, due to the nature of quantum physics, are always going to exist and have random variation, which is not the absence of everything.
Right. Yeah, because you would have. There's such a problem with just the word nothing in what they're actually describing here that it's very hard to say that. What's your evidence that nothing is even possible to begin with?
Right. Yeah. Because you have to. Kind of the idea is, right, like, when have we observed nothing? And even if we say, well, look at space, cool, but even space has like a base level energy. So that's, who knows? Who the hell knows?
Yeah, you do run into the infinite regress problem again here. Well, where did your God come from? Oh, well, he always existed. Well, if you can make that argument, then how come that can't apply to, let's say, quantum fields or the universe or whatever?
And because their God is much, much, much more complex than, you know, space existing or quantum fields existing, because then you apply personality and power and God knows what else.
Right.
Get it? God knows what else?
Uh-oh.
Right,
back?
I just got back from nothing.
Oh my goodness. Hey. Why do you hate nothing, Erica?
I was listening to the call screaming from the void. I was like, I'm there. I can tell you what nothing is like. Oh, why do I hate nothing? Because it kept me from you guys.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
So sweet.
what was the first question again? We were talking about. Okay, I should have written them down.
All of
Okay.
these questions have been the same. They're just,
Okay.
why do you believe something came from nothing?
Why do you
Okay, so-
believe something came from nothing? How do
No one-
you rationalize the belief that something can come from nothing? And where is your evidence that something can come from nothing?
Answer all three. No one claims anything came from nothing. No one has any idea what happened before the Big Bang. Just like we talked
Thank
about
you.
last time. We were like, literally none of us have any idea, and we're okay with that.
We're not convinced it is a god, at least.
The thing is, yeah, like imagine knowing the answer or being convinced
Right.
that you do know the answer. Like that's, I don't know. I have a lot of respect for people who are that confident, I guess, but their respect is tentative. They have to be right first.
That's an
fair.
important aspect.
That's fair. All right, next question.
Okay.
No.
What? What? Have you ever observed something come from nothing? Have you ever
I
observed
haven't.
your god do something? Anything?
Yeah, wait, what?
What? This is the Ken Ham. This is the Ken Ham coming out.
Were you
there?
Even if I had been there, I doubt I would have observed anything coming from nothing. So I just no. There's your flat answer. No.
Yeah, yeah. These we're getting a lot of proposed gotchas that really just aren't landing.
Yeah. Well, it's clear that this guy has a. I shouldn't say guy. This person. I don't know who.
This individual.
I don't want to. This individual clearly has this idea of what he thinks atheists believe, but he formed that, it seems, without really ever conversing with anyone who identifies as an atheist who bothers to think carefully about things like science and philosophy. I'm not going to say no atheists would fall into his stereotype, because I don't know all the atheists out there, and I've met some pretty dumb atheists, but...
Fair.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, the nice thing about humans is that most of us are dumb, so
Right. It's true. We're all kind of the
I
worst.
That's why
Yeah,
you should be a dinosaur or a ghost or a gibbon
Or a goblin.
Yeah, we don't have.
Yeah.
There actually aren't any. No humans on the panel, huh?
Yeah, that's true. No humans present. Isn't that nice? I guess
Yeah.
I guess I'd take the either me or Unholy Roast. Oh, Unholy Roast, what are you a ghost of?
Coffee.
Oh,
Yeah,
coffee.
no, I'm a ghost made of steam from coffee.
Well, damn, that means I'm the closest thing to a human.
Well, depending on where the beat 'em up comes out for the taxonomy of goblins.
That's the thing. But with known information, Dapper. Come on.
With known information, yeah, where there's a big question mark over goblins. Although I still maintain I have good reason to suspect that goblins are primates.
A
No,
gibbon,
I'm-
a gibbon is
I'm-
probably still closer to a human, though.
Then a goblin?
Potentially.
It depends though.
Mm.
Humans have complicated songs, but we haven't heard them speak in
They could be
human way yet.
equidistant. What if goblins are lesser apes?
Oh my god, what if they
No.
are?
Nah. Not
They are
convinced.
small.
Not convinced. All right, next question.
Next question, I'm ready. Bring it on.
Question number
Yes.
74. Can you believe something without evidence?
Yeah,
Do
people
they
do it all
mean
the
you,
time.
like the royal you, or do they mean like you, the individual? Is it possible? Are they asking if it's possible, or are they asking an individual?
I mean, either way, it's
Um,
true. I can believe things without evidence if I want to.
Yeah, I imagine
Yeah.
can one believe something without evidence? Of course you can. People do it all day, every day. Every single person that is claiming all of these exorbitant conspiracy theories about the current situation that's facing the globe is believing those things without
Kofefe?
it.
Kofefe 19?
Yeah. Big time. Big time.
Well, and another thing is, we all have our weird little, like, I don't want to say like neuroses, but we all have our weird little things about, we believe about ourselves or others, or odd little self-perceptions that don't really line up with how other people perceive us.
Oh, and Dapper,
we're
I
really no
definitely have
evidence for it.
neuroses.
Well, I don't want to speak for other people, but we everyone has weird little things that they're just like, yeah, that seems right, without actually having anything that could reasonably be called evidence.
Anybody here have any good conspiracy theories they actually believe in to share?
Like currently.
Yeah, I have one. I'll share mine.
I have one too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe that chapstick tubes are intentionally kept round so that when you drop them, there's a higher likelihood that they'll roll away and you'll have to buy a new one. That's why no one can finish chapstick.
Okay. I mean, I've never finished a roll of chapstick or a tube of chapstick, I guess. So fair.
The sample
You've never
size
finished
grows larger.
No.
Okay, I will tell you one reason why tubes of chapstick are amazing. I always have a tube of chapstick in my car that has about $40 in it with you roll up the bills and stick them in an empty tube and you have emergency money. So no matter what shit happens, you'll have money in your car in case some weird
when I
shit
used
goes
to
down.
go out to the bar and stuff, so I don't really carry a purse on me, and carrying a purse on you at the bar is just kind of asking for trouble in like 7 or 8 different ways. So I used to put my ID and my debit card in my sock.
Okay.
You're way less likely to have your sock groped than your boob pocket. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. Being a dinosaur, I don't have to really worry about boob groping.
I think Unholy Roast, you said you had a conspiracy theory?
That I haven't researched well, so I'm probably gonna kick myself for saying it, but Epstein didn't kill himself.
Fair enough.
Conspiracy theories, yeah, that's... I wouldn't say I believe it, but it's one of the ones where I'm like, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, right. It seems reasonable, whereas most conspiracy theories are like, really, guys?
Yeah, man. The thing with that Epstein one too is that you read about it and you're like, isn't the conspiracy theory more along the lines that he did kill himself?
Right.
Isn't one the less supported idea?
Yeah.
So one of the things with that one is it's like, okay, most conspiracy theories, it's like, how many people do you have to shut up to keep this conspiracy theory going? And the answer is always like, well, tens of thousands or something. Any one of whom could be a whistleblower. Then you ask the same question with the Epstein one. It's like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 maybe 10. Okay.
Maybe, right.
And this is people who you have to shut up who don't benefit directly from Epstein's death. Because, I don't think you have to shut up Hillary Clinton about Epstein's death.
Okay, I have to point out a chat comment. My theory, 5G causes even more stupidity in conspiracy theorists.
That's
brilliant.
It amplifies our cell signal.
Do you guys want to know what mine is?
Mm-hmm.
That I own 95% of the Non Sequitur Show channel.
Ooh, there we go. All right.
Drama.
Apparently, there's a conspiracy theory going around some groups of people that I actually had control over the situation from before the breakup and made Kyle do things.
The puppet master.
Oh my god, you're the puppet master.
That's what I've been doing. I've just been wasting. I've been controlling Kyle with mind spores the entire time for a year, just wasting everyone's time for no other reason than.
Nice.
It's all really to get at other trolls, just to bug them.
I'm trying to think if there's a conspiracy theory I actually think is positively true. And the only thing that I can think of that I've ever really recently thought maybe that's actually the case is that maybe there's some high-placed people in the Democratic Party who actually really like Trump because they keep making really shitty decisions. So,
oh man, that whole thing is such. I honest to God, don't get me started on politics. I'm stepping away.
Kawasa for 5. Kawasa for 5 says goblins are not primates. They come from spores, so they're closer to plant or fungi. The Emperor says so.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah.
That's pretty up there.
That's the Warhammer 40k lore behind greenskins. They are fungoids.
Truth Through Science says, you guys need to get on my level. Marine uniforms have pockets, but we aren't allowed to use them for reasons, so we have to shove our wallet in our socks. What?
Oh my god.
There's gotta be a conspiracy theory around why women's pants don't have pockets.
No, I've heard that one.
It has to be like...
purses. It's to sell the purses.
Motherfuckers.
Oh my god.
It probably is, too.
That does remind me of something. When the Navy, when I was getting out of the Navy, they were switching over from the older sort of like just button-down shirt that's plain blue with the darker blue pants to these like digital camouflaged blue BDUs. And the conspiracy theory was at the time the Navy was trying to cut down on how many people it had in the Navy. And the conspiracy theory was, well, this way, if anyone falls over, they won't be able to see them in the ocean because they're camouflaged against the ocean.
What the fuck? So
we're
okay,
just down in
I
the
am
ocean.
convinced that there's no pockets in women's pants to be so they're more form fitting. Because if you put stuff in your pockets, it gets lumpy, and nobody wants to look at lumpy women.
That's actually probably the real reason, and that's also why
Some
they put
bullshit.
fake pockets on there.
I hate fake pockets.
No,
I just don't like being lied to. All right, okay. I don't care if you have no pockets, but make me aware of it. Don't trick me. Is this the same thing with Rocky Road ice cream? Chocolatey, caramelly, marshmallowy ice cream, and then suddenly there's a goddamn almond in it. I don't dislike almonds. I just don't like being surprised. I don't like surprise almonds. Hate surprise almonds.
We've hit a nerve, Chesh.
It's like you bought.
I like oatmeal raisin cookies. I like oatmeal raisin cookies, but don't pretend they're chocolate chip.
No, that's
Fucking lie to me.
that checks out.
It's like if you bought a Mounds bar and instead it was actually an Almond Joy in there.
I could make an entire rant video that is 10 minutes long of me just going off about food that's trying to lie to me. Like butter tarts. If they have butter tarts and you don't tell me there's raisins in it, I'm gonna be pissed. Not because I dislike raisins, but I just don't like being surprised. I don't like eating chocolate chip ice cream and being like, this is really good crunch. What was that?
See, I'll step up. I will step up and say I'm not the biggest fan of raisins, nor am I the biggest fan of craisins. I don't like dried fruits very much because it's kind of like a gummy, but it gets
Don't ask me if I want some candy and then hand me a dried piece of fruit, asshole.
Oh god, that's the fastest way. That is the fastest way to get kicked out of my home. That would be the ultimate betrayal.
That is absolutely. Kawasa figured out how to use the puck emoji properly, by the way. Kawasa figured out how to use the puck emoji properly. It says, puck all almonds.
Nice.
Go ahead.
My unpopular opinion, candy sucks. Give me fruit any day over candy.
I actually prefer salty food over sweet food, so I will usually take something that is salty over something that is candy most days.
Well, look, no need to be salty over it all, okay?
Oh, I live for salt. I live on a 45-degree angle. If I could, I would rotate my camera because I literally live on a 45-degree angle at all times.
Dapper, the garage-sized door is that way.
That's why I laugh my ass off when people come at me on Twitter and they're like, "Oh, you're just mad." And I'm like, "That's my trick. I'm always angry." What do you mean?
That's stupid. I'm always angry.
All right, next question.
All right, ready.
75.
Apples are basically wet paper.
Question number 75. Do you believe in extraterrestrials?
Oh, now listen. This question was made for me. The thing is that maybe that's what it boils down to. Maybe an almost certainly that somewhere else in the universe there is indeed life. Anytime it's been a while since I've listened to oh god, I'm gonna sound like a total crackpot. I listened to a couple of podcasts that cover astrobiology and the things of that nature. And a while back, I had this guy come on, and he was talking about his abduction experience. And he's getting started, right? He's getting ready to tell this tale, and I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be excruciating because a lot of that involves. Not to throw shit on anybody, of course, but a lot of it involves some high level delusion and occasionally some underlying mental problems
and drugs.
But guys, I gotta tell you, this guy was super credible as an individual, and I know that means nothing, and I know it's an eyewitness account and whatever, but aliens are my weak spot, and so I hear
you want it to be real.
Yeah, they pour their heart out telling this wild tale that's allegedly documented quite well, and I could go on and on. It's the what's the guy's name? Sergeant Lovelace. it's his whole story. He got like abducted at Devil's Den, which is a national or a state park in down in Arkansas / Missouri, depending on where you
really
are.
familiar.
Yeah. Anyways, I listened to his story, and I was listening to it with Luke when we were in the car, and we were like, this will be a laugh. We listened to it, and at the end, we kind of looked at each other, and he was like, "Oh shit, are aliens real?" And I was like, "Nope, I'm not going down that." I don't know. That's what I'm gonna say. I have no idea. I know a lot of very credible people think that there are, and who am I to tell them no? But I have had no experience to suggest that aliens are abducting humans off the planet. Non-Earth aliens, absolutely.
I would want to know what they meant by extraterrestrials, because in some theology, like an angel could be considered an extraterrestrial. So I'm not entirely sure what they mean. If you're talking about, like, not only is life likely to exist given the size of the universe, but if it doesn't, it's more than likely it either did or it's going to at some point. So if it doesn't exist now, or we don't manage to find it, it will at some point in the future. I think it's inevitable. It has to, just because of size and time and length and etc. and girth and shit. But that's my opinion.
All the dimensions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went from early on in my life 100% believed in extraterrestrials because this is like a not surface level Mormon belief that God exists in the universe at his own planet called Kolob. So I went from like, straight up extraterrestrials because God's one of them, to now I'm like, I think it's probably likely that now or some point in the future there's going to be some type of life somewhere in the universe. Don't have a problem with that. Obviously, I'm not going to like believe it until there's evidence, but I feel like it's very likely.
Yeah. All right, so one, I'm someone who does have a personal reason to believe that there are extraterrestrials, because I seen a UFO. I've seen a thing flying by in the sky, and I was like, that doesn't look like any plane that I've ever seen or been familiar with. The lights aren't right. The speed isn't right. Nothing about that is anything that seems easily identifiable. However, that is insufficient for me to believe that aliens are visiting Earth.
Yeah, there's another step there, right? I don't know what that is. Does not equate to, the Asgardians are coming.
Right. There are a whole bunch.
I would be so down.
I'd be so down too. I'd be down for aliens.
There are essentially infinite possibilities as to what I saw, all of which don't have to be, or any of them could be things other than extraterrestrials visiting Earth. That being said, I sort of look at it like, okay, so I think a few people here in chat have played D&D, right?
Yes.
So let's say you told me somewhere there was a guy who had to roll 3 percentile dice and get 100 on each one, and he got it.
Yeah.
I mean, is that likely?
Yeah.
No. Could it have happened somewhere? Yeah. So in the same way that I think anyone has ever rolled 100 3 times in a row? Maybe. Seems possible.
That seems actually pretty likely to me, given how much I roll dice. I would probably... The thing is, like, how many people get a royal straight flush? That happens not terribly often, but how likely is it that you get it? It's not very likely that you get it, but it happens regularly, so probability's kind of wonky like that. Yeah, Helios57... Sorry, I'm just going to do the super chat, then go ahead. Helios575 for 5 says, my dad food pranks me. It gives me chocolate-covered coffee beans telling me they're raisins, or gives me a Dixie cup of ouzo saying it's water. Oh, I'd be so mad!
Actually,
chocolate-covered coffee beans are the shit. I want you to take back that excuse.
I don't have a problem with it being what it is. I have a problem with somebody tricking me when it's something it's not. So I don't dislike almonds. I just don't like when they surprise me in my ice cream.
I know a guy
hate surprise almonds.
Was hanging out in Dubai, which of course it was summer and it was hot. And this guy happened to be a Mormon. And someone said, "Oh, hey, you look hot. Here, have some water." And it was vodka in a water bottle.
You look hot. Wink.
Oh, that's not okay.
No, see, they weren't telling you it was water. They were trying to hit on you and buying you a drink.
No, because it wasn't exactly a secret. This happened while I was in the Navy, and it wasn't exactly a secret that this guy was a Mormon, because he was the one who led the Mormon services in the chapel every Sunday.
What does that have to do with
yeah,
you
that's-
giving you a bottle of water, a bottle of vodka?
That's
No,
not
because-
okay in any way, shape, or
Yeah,
form.
it was vodka in a water bottle, and he was like, "Oh, hey, you look hot." And so this guy takes a swig of water from the water bottle, and
And
it's
then
vodka.
you just slosh it back, and it's just a bunch of vodka.
Yeah.
I would be
So not-
furious.
Yeah,
That's
not
douchey.
only is it a food prank, but it's also a food prank against someone who has a religious objection to consuming that particular food.
Right.
Not okay. So yeah, I mean, food pranks, not a big fan, but at least be aware of the dietary restrictions if you have to pull one. Don't slip some bacon into the burger you're feeding your Muslim friend or your Jewish friend.
Don't give somebody
be a
weed
dick.
brownies and not tell them it's weed.
Well, yeah, that's as far as I know, that's straight up illegal. That's a
That,
drug.
that,
You're
no,
not allowed
don't
to
do
drug
that. That's
people.
super shitty. Don't do shit like that.
Yeah. Don't.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Don't drug people without their consent. Well, I'll go there. Without their consent.
Yeah, no,
Someone's like, "Oh, hey,
it's
give me
always
that weed
about that,
brownie."
right? It's always about the consent. That's always important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Always.
Alright,
Should be.
do
at
you want to
least.
do next question?
Oh yeah.
Do you believe
is
in
your
ghosts? Well, I mean, we've got one here,
One
so I
here.
guess that's a yes.
Yeah, that's right, bitch.
Yeah?
I mean, look, I've been spooked by weird, eerie surroundings, but I've never seen anything, either myself or read anything or seen anything that would make me think that, yeah, ghosts are more likely real than not. So I feel like if I had to place a bet, I would say ghosts are not real.
I'm in the ghosts are not real camp as well. I think again, it's the only thing that gives me pause to be like, and it's not necessarily that ghosts are a thing that's happening, but that something strange is occurring to these folks that regularly, for all intents and purposes, are quite credible and are having strange experiences. I'm thinking, well, there's got to be an explanation. That explanation is ghosts. No, not from me, but I don't know. I guess I can't, I've never had a ghostly experience, so I can't really speak to any of it, but it all does seem a bit odd to me, except for the coffee ghost that we've got here. That one's legit.
Right, present
Mhm,
company excluded.
Yes. No, I mean, I think I shared last time about my little spooky experience, but am I going to say that that's a ghost? No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
I will say the things that people put out there on like ghost hunting shows, like, oh, hey, we recorded an EVP, and you listen to it, and it sounds like, and they're like, oh, did you see that? It said "get out." I'm like, well, it didn't sound like that until you told me that that's what it sounded like, and now I can't hear anything else.
I think what we ended up saying last time, and I think it stands, is that if people want to figure out if ghosts and spirits are real, if like religious people want to know if spirits are real, they're the ones that need to be investing and hiring scientists to do the work, not the general populace. It shouldn't be part of your
doesn't
tax
have to be-
dollars.
No, shouldn't be. It should be tax money. But heck, even if you're not religious, like it would be cool to know for certain that there are ghosts, whether you're religious or not, right? Because even if you don't believe in any particular religion, if there were positive evidence of an afterlife, that would be of interest, I think, to all people.
Yeah, the thing is, if ghosts were legit, if we could somehow provide any semblance of support for that idea, that sure would shake things up in pretty much every conceivable area.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hugely.
So, but that it would be really, I don't know. I mean, there's the thing is that I think we talked about this last time, but when you get into metaphysical stuff, if you can test it, it is necessarily not metaphysical. So I don't even know how you would go about performing a test for ghosts or spirits.
Yeah, because I think
Like,
one of
I
the
don't know-
question is like, how do you know you can test it? It was like really malformed, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If ghosts are a thing that can interact with the physical universe, then there should be some kind of way to provide at least positive evidence of their existence. Even if it's not falsifiable, you should be able to find something like this indicates that maybe yes, ghosts are a thing.
Yeah. It's something, some kind of, and even if you can't measure something precisely, there should be at least a way to measure its impact on the world
Oh
around.
Lord, Dapper, your standard sticks. Truth Seeker is in the chat talking about flat Earth. Dude, calm down. Don't worry. Save it. We've got flat Earth coming probably next week or the week after. Don't worry. Chill. Hold on to it for next time. I promise. You'll have a blast.
Yes. Have you announced guests?
We'll announce guests at the end.
Oh, okay. All right. I won't spill the beans then, except the coffee beans.
Oh, rude.
You watch it.
All right, next question.
Why do you hate ghosts?
Do you believe in
believe in
demigods? What?
I can.
You
like
know what?
Hercules?
I just went through all of God of War, and yet I still don't believe in Kratos or Atreus.
No,
Sorry.
no. We
So
couldn't get
the-
you converted, could we? Well, get on down to Demigod Adventureland. 1-800-BIG-DEMIGOD.
I think to believe in demigods, I would need to have some kind of consistent lore and some kind of consistent expectations of what to expect from a demigod, because they're all different.
Well,
You'd also need to believe in a god, right? Because a demigod is
yeah.
a crossover god and a human.
Okay, so yeah,
Right.
I think we talked about this before, and I had said that I don't think the like Zeus to me, I don't think he's good enough to be a god anymore. Like I wouldn't classify him as a god. Maybe a human or a creature that has a incredibly long lifespan, even potentially an immortal one that has some kind of affinity or some kind of ability that seems to be supernatural, but I don't think they would qualify as a god at this point anymore because they don't have the omnis. So to say that, like, I wouldn't maybe consider, like, the son of Zeus a demigod, or I'd be using god with, like, a small g, like they're doing here, and being like, well, it's not an omnigod, it doesn't have the capital O, so if you could, I need some kind of consistent, I need, like, some consistent lore, alright? Give me something consistent. Because even, like, Greek mythology, all the demigods all have different things they can do. There's no consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out on demigods, guys. I'm out on them.
Smitty makes a good point. Is Jesus a demigod? No, I think he is supposed to be the god.
Yeah, not in standard Christian theology. There are some oddball versions of Christianity that
I could
have
see
existed.
the argument. I could see the argument. Like he's a demigod up until he died or something like that.
Yeah, basically the versions of Christianity that you can where you could say maybe Jesus is like a demigod are things that started rising in like the late, if I remember correctly, like 700-800s. Up until then, the bigger question was whether or not Jesus was actually a human. It was actually pretty hard to find people who were denying Jesus' divinity up until fairly well into Christian history.
Right.
Or, well, who were denying it and then accepting anything about him at all. I mean, there were plenty of people who just weren't Christians at all and had no particular beliefs about Jesus.
I'm gonna
But
start
people who were
spelling
calling
God with a
themselves
capital O.
Nice.
SpongeBob memes.
That's right. I just see SpongeBob. Demigod. All right.
Next question.
Oh, yeah.
Next question.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 78. Do you believe in that? Next question is gonna be, do you believe in gibbons?
Or goblins.
Yeah, true. Then
They knew about the panel ahead of time. This person knew.
My God.
Seriously.
God must have told them.
Yeah, not only do I believe in dinosaurs, I see dinosaurs all the time. I see their remains. I mean, it's sort of at this point, it's sort of like asking, like, do you believe in horses? It's like, yeah,
I
Yeah.
see chickens
Why would I
around.
not?
They're dinosaurs,
Yeah.
aren't they?
That's
they
right.
are. Yeah, and
They're
even
pretty
if,
good fried.
Even if we ignore birds, it's not a hard thing to do to go find actual dinosaur fossils that you can just go look at.
Do you?
And in
I got a
most
question
places in the
back.
world-
Do they believe in museums?
No,
Yeah.
that's one of those conspiracy theories.
They believe
Mm.
in the Creation Museum
Oh God. Yeah.
and the Ark Encounter. Okay.
Actually,
Wait,
I
doesn't
bet
that
this
have
person doesn't.
dinosaurs in it though?
Yep. I bet this person probably thinks that the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum are way too secular, and they've bought into the atheist science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone that would say that about Ken Ham or Kent Hovind, oh man,
Listen,
they're too far gone.
this guy is not a fan of the Glendive Fossil Museum at
No. This is like, oh, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that, Erica and I and Eric Vierthaler on my channel, we have so far a 2-part series where we're following a guy around as he takes us on a tour of the Glendive Dinosaur and Fossil Museum, which is a YEC museum, and it's interesting. I'll just say that. It's interesting.
We've got there's a youngster in the video who just literally, I don't think, has answered a single correct question when asked, and it's really enjoyable.
Oh
Yeah, he's the
no.
best part of it.
Are these the people that like they found a fossil, but they like planted it there and shit? Or is this a different?
I don't know
young
that
Earth
having
creationist group?
occurred, but that could have. I mean, I wouldn't put it past young Earth creationists, but I don't know that that is the case here.
See, and I probably shouldn't be talking because I'm not gonna. I hope you guys don't expect anything good from me at this point because I've probably had more drinks than I should. But
Well, I'll say this: young Earth creationists have a legitimately and with some skill unearthed dinosaur finds that are now in various museums, although unfortunately often creationist museums. But there have in fact been young Earth creationist fossil expeditions that were successful in
No, man,
finding impressive specimens.
And they,
Yeah.
honest to God, some of their museums are like really well done. Dapper and I were talking about this
Yeah.
the other day. Like they with enough money, you can make a good museum about anything.
Actually, one fairly famous example is Carl Baugh, who has a really bottom tier creationist museum out in Glen Rose, Texas. But he has a very nice Acrocanthosaurus specimen because he dug it up himself on private land.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Well, not himself.
It was going so well.
Himself. He had an expedition with him. There were a bunch of people, but yeah, he's got an Acrocanthosaurus. But the thing is, he talks about this as, I discovered Acrocanthosaurus. Like, no, you didn't. You found an Acrocanthosaurus specimen. You didn't
Only
discover the damn
America can you
genus.
privatize shit like that.
Yeah, press X to doubt big time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like it's an authentic specimen. I don't think it's a fake Acrocanthosaurus, but
All right, next
Yeah,
question. We believe in dinosaurs. We've got one in the chat.
We're in.
right.
We've swallowed the red pill on that.
God
No.
damn it!
no,
I just told Truth Seeker to stop with the flat Earth shit, and this fucking guy. I take it back,
Hey,
Truth
can we-
Seeker. You're good. Go on. Continue. I
Okay, look.
apologize.
If we really entertain this would be a whole other series that you are already set up for. So we can just
Right.
say round
Right.
and move on.
Yeah,
Round and move
I
on.
agree.
Everybody
Yep.
thinks the Earth is round.
I'm game for that.
But
Yeah.
why do you hate
Truth Seeker
the
already
firmament?
educated us Anyway.
All right, here we go. Do you believe in miracles?
Do you believe in
Look, man,
miracles?
I hate to get semantic on this, but it's just another one of those deals. It's like when something good happens to me, sometimes I'm like, holy cow, that's a miracle. Thank God that happened. But I'm not meaning it in like a holy cow, that's a miracle.
Yeah, you're using it in the
God, that
colloquial
happened.
sense.
Thank the
Right.
cow that
That's a-
happened.
That's a really good, crazy coincidence that just happened to me. That's fantastic.
Yeah, or just like a series of good events, Like,
Look, I'm
oh,
going to get myself another rum and coke while this goes on, so feel free to discuss miracles, because I'm just going to say...
Okay. I-
Dapper, have you only had one drink?
Well, it's a tall one.
I'm on 4.
Look, I'm not
Get
responsible
going.
for you, but I have an after show to go to after this, so I can't get too drunk.
that's
'Cause
true.
right now, RJ Downard is debating Standing for Truth on Modern Day Debate, and I'm going to have to host an after show for a debate that I haven't watched.
No,
so...
listen.
Oh
Dapper,
no.
I'm keeping light tabs on it. I've got it pulled up. I go over to the chat every, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, something like that. Looks like RJ's doing pretty well. That's what I'm gathering.
Oh, there's a surprise, right?
So-
All right, I'll be right back. You feel free
I'm
to keep going if you want.
I'm thinking with miracles is that all I want is a standard. I might be willing to grant you something if you're able to give me a standard. Is every kid who's cured from cancer a miracle? Is every baby that's born a miracle? These things are arbitrary. Until you can nail down a standard, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and I think too, this would be an easy one to kind of test, right? I mean, if there is a correlation between prayer and miracles, you would certainly hope that you would be able to do something empirical with that.
Right, but the studies have been done, and the improvement with sick people happens at the rate of chance. And except if the patients know that they're being prayed for, in which case they do worse because there's this expectation hanging over their head.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
actually
I-
covered that on Capping Corner one of the days.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've heard of that one. I haven't gotten too deep into it, but I've definitely heard of it. Yeah, this is, it's an interesting question, but again, like, I guess it kind of depends what we mean, We needed
Get me a
we need
standard. Same thing as demigods. Get me a standard, and then we can talk about
well,
it.
really, any supernatural thing is really difficult because, I mean, Erica already brought it up. If you could investigate it, then it probably wouldn't be supernatural. So, really,
I'm willing
this
to
is just such a difficult
maybe
question.
grant that maybe a miracle doesn't have to be supernatural. I'm willing.
So, what is a
to-
miracle then?
Well, that's why I'm asking for a standard. So, if winning the lottery is a miracle, well, that's not necessarily supernatural. It's just very unlikely. So, is very unlikely things what constitutes a miracle? That's why I want a standard. Give me a standard, and now we can actually have a conversation.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you are 6 Z-scores away from the mean. That is constituted of a miracle. Like, I don't know how that.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What do we say? Next question? I think we got it.
Yes. 81. Do you believe in anything
hey.
supernatural?
I feel like that was already discussed, but what do you mean by
No?
supernatural, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, are we talking about, I mean, obviously it already mentioned miracles, but like ghosts of steam or talking dinosaurs or...
Dinosaurs are
I mean-
supernatural.
Come on.
I mean, I got the vibe from this that the round Earth is supernatural. So,
Oh.
yes, I guess.
Man. It really is, like, if you look into like philosophical claims about naturalism and supernaturalism and stuff, what is supernatural is actually a really weird question, because the thing is, if it can interact with nature, then it's hard to say that it's not part of nature, and then at that point, well, then what makes it not natural? And so, like, people point to things that are commonly said to be supernatural, but the word supernatural itself, it's really hard to pin down.
Right. Honestly,
So-
there's only one word I hate more, and that's spiritual, because it
It's so
means
vague.
jack shit, and it's
Yeah.
whatever people decide it means to them. And so supernatural and spiritual both, unless we actually know what you're talking about, the question's pretty much useless. Though for the most part with supernatural, no, I can probably say I don't believe it as a general
Yeah.
blanket term.
Right. Yeah,
My favorite-
I would agree with that.
spiritual too it's such a personal thing, right? Like, so much
Yep.
of that is based off of you as an individual and how you experience the reality around you.
Right.
So I'm totally in on that.
Yeah. To me, for one thing about spiritual that I hate is when people say I'm spiritual but not religious. It's like saying, "Oh, I don't drink. I just consume vodka." Like, okay, sure, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a get out of jail free card. It's like, I'm spiritual, this is socially acceptable, now go away. I don't want to talk about this shit.
Yeah,
It could just be a way to be like, listen, I don't really participate in any kind of rituals or anything like that, but I do like to be mindful and kind of relax and feel the world around me, and that's attributed to like a spiritual experience. They don't necessarily mean supernatural, they mean a personal experience of myself experiencing life around me.
Just say you're not a member of any organized religion. Just say that.
See,
That's not
Right.
what I said, though. It's not what I described. It's something different.
I'm with you on that, Chesh. Like, in concept, that's what it should be. But I have also personally met people who are like, I'm spiritual,
Yes.
and I'm a Capricorn, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Right, yeah, there's a whole other...
No.
It's too vague.
That's when I just walk the hell away.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm out.
In my experience, it's just code for I'm a new ager.
Yeah,
Like, oh,
astrology is bottom tier, in my opinion. It's so bottom tier.
But I know
Can I ask a
that
question?
Sam Harris
Because-
talks about spirituality a lot. Yes, go for it.
So I'm just curious how you guys deal with this, because mostly when if it's someone that I don't know and I have no connection to, and they're like, "Hey, astrology," I'm like, "All right, bye forever."
Mhm.
But I've had a coworker be like, "So you must be a Cancer, right?" And I was like, "What do I do? Because I have to see this person daily. Like I don't know how to get into this."
You just respond with, "Do I?"
Yeah, I told myself. Someone's like, "Oh my god!" Like, so what's your sign? And I'm always just like, I don't know. I guess I'm like a Capricorn, but the stars have changed, so now I think I'm a Sagittarius. I have no idea. And then I look at him and I'm like, so how seriously do you take this stuff? We need to establish a baseline for our interactions in the future.
I think
My
a good way to
favorite-
respond is either to ask them back, "Oh, do I?" and kind of let them go off on their spiel and then just do whatever you're doing. Or you have the other thing of just going completely flat-faced, no, and just turn around and walk away, and because they're gonna keep asking, and then just say no with a flat face
true.
every time, and they'll forget what the last one was that they asked you. So,
Hey,
I can't remember who it was, but it was some member of the atheist community that was like, "Yo, I used to be part of I used to be really into astrology," and then he was like reading the daily fortune of his brother or something. And it was like when the day was pretty much done. And they're like, "Oh, that matches perfectly." And then he realized that he had picked the wrong sign. And he's like, "Oh shit!
oops.
This is all garbage."
I've never met anybody who actually hardcore believes in that, so I would love to talk to somebody about it.
Count yourself lucky.
Yeah, so
Bring them onto the show.
for me, it's a bit weird because I know people who are reasonably sure that astrology is real. I know people who think that Pokemon are demons in disguise and that the games are tricking you into Satan worship. I mean, I know a lot of people who have some beliefs that are just out there that I don't really get to
Pikachu's
just
the
tie
devil.
all of them.
Yeah, talk to me about my boy Blastoise about that one more time. See what happens. Blastoise,
D&D is the devil.
Oh yeah. So my thing is,
Eevee wants to pick a fight with you.
my thing is, I just go with like, you know what? There's some things that's just not worth engaging on.
I got my buddy Zubat over here who's just gonna confuse Ryu and Toxic to
Zubat.
death.
Oh, he doesn't have any eyes.
I love Zubat.
For me, things like, okay, like if the president is hiring an astrologer, then there's something to talk about there. But if it's like, oh, this person picks who they date based on their birthday, all right, fine, I don't care.
It's kind of an arbitrary and a bizarre thing to choose, but whatever. Everybody has their preferences, I guess.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I won't date anyone who was born between September 22nd and January 3rd. Like, all right, fine. That's
dodged a bullet. All right, let's next question. Question 82. Why do you accept whatever science says, no matter how ridiculous it is?
It's never ridiculous. That's the thing.
What? I need an example. I want this person to give me an example, please.
Globe.
We came from monkeys?
I'll tackle this. So here's something that I've noticed, and that's maybe because I'm in psychology, which is kind of a soft science, right? And so if I'm starting to do this massive report and I'm trying to find peer-reviewed journals, I will often see, at least in psychology, kind of out there singular journals and topics and articles and things. So there are some ridiculous things that science puts forward as a general whole. However, the scientific consensus is usually a really good place to stick your trust in.
Yeah, and I agree. Whenever someone says, oh, what science says, like if it's not a consensus position, if it's still up in the air, or if you're saying that some scientist said this fringe thing, then that's not what science says. First of all, I hate using science as the subject of a verb. I think anyone who does it should just be fired out of a cannon towards the moon.
Because it's a method.
Well, I mean, it's nice of you to pick the moon and not the sun.
It's a tool.
Well, it takes a lot more delta V to get to the sun, Shesh. I'm being conservative here.
Hey, science or sciencing falls in the same category as too adult or adulting, and things make me want to throw my body into oncoming traffic.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of something. So, what was it? Benthoven and I, we did a Kerbal Space Program race once to get to the sun, and it turns out you're much more likely to miss the sun than you are to get there first. So,
I would like to really quick ask the chat, because this is going to be an argument going on for the ages. 1 in the chat for Bulbasaur, 2 in the chat for Squirtle, 3 in the chat for Charmander.
That is what I'm saying, dude. It's honestly a toss-up for... I'm really sorry, Cheshire, you're gonna hate me, but it's a toss-up for me between Squirtle and Charmander. I love Charmeleon, which is the thing, but I also love Blastoise, so it's like...
Bulbasaur is best boy. Bulbasaur is best boy.
Bulbasaur is cute.
He's got attitude, man.
Strong against the first few gyms.
I don't even care about that. I don't care about that. The dude, Ash yells at Bulbasaur, use Gust. Bulbasaur looks at him, goes, what the fuck? And then goes, and it works. What more do you need? Dude never evolved. Didn't evolve, even though a cult tried to get him to evolve. He was like, yo, fuck you guys, I'll fight every last one of you motherfuckers, and he did it. Bulbasaur's best
Listen.
boy.
All right, but here's the real question: when should I do a Bulbasaur sculpt on Top Hats Off as a live 3D sculpt?
Instantly.
Yes, now.
Ah,
Get off of here.
well, maybe
Go away.
that could be a birthday thing.
Bulbasaur. They had a whole chant. All right, next question. This is stupid.
All right, yeah.
Yes, no, I was loving it. I love that.
What?
I just straight don't.
Which government?
I mean, I'm just gonna assume it's whichever one happens to be in power where you are. But the thing is, like,
I'm gonna
That
go out on a
government-
limb here and say this person's probably American.
well, yeah, but so the thing is that the government said it is not sufficient for me. But they often say things that are uncontroversial and are backed up by other things. So okay.
Yeah,
You
I
mean like the
totally-
World Health Organization that gets like $6+ billion a year to research diseases?
Yeah.
No,
They
man, I
might
believe
know what they're talking about.
Oh,
Every-
everything.
every single thing the government of Djibouti says, I'm in on.
Well, with a name like Djibouti, you know they can't be wrong.
Well, that's why, because they were, they had the insight to name the country Djibouti, and I saw that and I was like, man, these guys have it figured out.
Yep. I mean, I can't argue with that. But the thing for me is, it's like, yes, it is a matter of just obvious public record that basically all governments have said things that are lies. That the government says a thing is not a reason I believe it. However, that the government says something is not reason not to believe it. And most of the things that they've said have turned out to be broadly true. They're just not.
Unless you're talking about current administration. Hi, I'm back, by the way.
Hey.
Ew.
I mean, in a historical sense, like, generally speaking, if some government agency has said a thing, it has usually turned out to be at least broadly accurate.
Because they usually would have resources and rely on the current best data.
Experts,
And the
yes.
thing is, I'm skeptical that many government, I don't want to say agencies, but many government officials really care about your well-being in terms of like, oh, they would be heartbroken if you died or something. But they still have enough self-interest to care about it because they don't want to lose their position. So it doesn't really matter. They're not here to go get you. Because
Right.
at the very worst, the absolute worst interpretation I can find for the government is that they basically see the citizens like a farmer sees cows, which does not mean they're going to wipe them all out. It means they're going to take care of them to the maximum extent that they can that's consistent with them getting what they want out of them. That is the worst interpretation that I can see as reasonable concerning the government. And
I'm
I
gonna
think
go
most
out.
governments are
I'm gonna
aware
say
of that.
something really controversial. Where Garurumon should have been the highest Digivolution for Gabumon. It should have
Yeah.
been Metal
I don't know jack
Garurumon.
shit.
Then it should have been Where Garurumon. That should have been his mega form. Anybody who says otherwise is fucking wrong. Suck it. Where Garurumon was clearly better because he had opposable thumbs.
Listen, I
am a basic bitch. I only know about Pokemon. I don't know jack shit
No,
about Digimon.
listen, girl, I straight up just said in the chat that Agumon is based, but I had, in my current state, forgotten about how based were Garurumon also.
Right? 10 also 10 points for Wizardmon for being a bro.
Wizardmon, oh my god!
Because I feel like I'm losing nerd cred, I speak a fair bit of Klingon.
Yeah, Dapper.
Hey.
Dapper, the nerd cred went out the window the second you didn't pay homage to where Garurumon.
Praise be.
Excuse me, are you gatekeeping nerdom here?
Yes.
Let me ask,
How dare you?
Dapper, why do you hate where Garurumon?
What is your evidence that he's not awesome? Okay.
Metal Garurumon was very awesome. However, the form should have been swapped. Should have
Oh,
been
dude.
swapped.
I could insert. We got to do the next question.
F in the
but I
chat
must-
for F in the chat for Wizardmon and Leomon. F's in the chat.
Oh,
All right,
no.
next question.
Okay.
No matter how ridiculous it is. Oh god.
Yes.
Question number 84. Do you have any friends or family members that are Christian or religious in some capacity? Yes. Dapper?
Yeah, how would you even avoid that?
Erica, yes or no?
Yes. Absolutely.
Roasty Ghost, what about you?
Literally all of my family minus one.
Oh, there we go. Next question.
But why do you hate your family?
Why do you hate your family?
I don't. I try and desperately survive. All right.
That's so close. That's so close. Question number 85. If so, do you love them? No.
Okay. Let me break. I become more talkative when I'm drunk, if you haven't noticed.
I have
But-
Go, Roasty.
Yeah. Okay, because I like lose my inhibitions. I don't give a shit. So it's really telling to me that they include this question, like, why the hell would my love for someone depend on their religiosity? Lack thereof. Like, I don't give a shit. If you're a good person and you treat me and everyone else well, I don't care. Why would it matter? If you're respectful, if you're kind, that's all I need.
Absolutely. You said it.
Like, screw this guy for trying to put this thing like, oh, I bet you don't love them.
Yeah, this is a rude question. Rudeness. Not a fan.
So I'm someone who has. I just want to say, I'm someone who has changed my religious position more than once, and who has always had family who has had a disagreement with whatever position I've taken over the time. And yeah, I always love them because you know what? You and I don't have to agree on things like Jesus or God or what religion is the one true religion or whether there is such a thing in order for me to care about you. It turns out I can disagree with people and still care about them. Weird.
That is shocking.
I know. Actually, I think Erica's becoming a ghost too.
Am I a ghost?
You're very pale, yeah. There you go.
You came back a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I switched. Forgive me. I switched over to Twitter very briefly too because then we got a couple of quick messages on how RJ's doing. I wanted to check on him, and so I switched over and I got blasted.
Twitter needs a dark mode.
Twitter has a dark mode.
Twitter has a dark mode.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's the only thing that I will. It's the only thing I'll view Twitter on. Dark mode.
I am shocked at this point that no one here realizes how technologically inept I actually am.
Okay, so open your Twitter on the left-hand side. Go to settings.
Wait, I clicked on the
left-hand side. Go down.
Okay, more settings and privacy. Oh, I'm almost there.
Open that, and it should be in there.
Oh my god.
Wait, display. This is it. Dim or lights out?
Click it.
Flick dim or ooh, wait, what about lights out? I like lights out better.
Yeah, there we go.
And
we
just
fixed it
now
for her.
we have witnessed history.
Aw, this is
cool. All right, next question. Do you love your family?
What evidence do you have that you love your family?
Close enough.
Basically.
Question number 86. Where does love come from?
You don't love your kin, you won't protect them. The selfish gene must reproduce.
I have the answer. I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of my heart.
Gosh, I literally thought you were about to say where Garurumon.
Where Garurumon. That's where love comes from. Hell yeah. I'm pretty sure it would come from Pixiemon. You remember that fucker? That dude was badass.
Yeah, dude. How many? I mean, listen, make a list of non-badass Digimon. It's gonna be a short list.
Aphrodite.
Shrek. Shrek is love. Shrek
Somebody wants to know.
So it's a weird question because like, okay, so I think what we're trying to do here is push on the whole naturalism thing. Like, oh, you think love is a chemical, and it's like, okay, let's just go ahead and grant the complete total of materialist naturalism. That's it. Everything's material. Why is it a problem that love is a chemical interaction in my brain? It makes me feel the same way it makes you feel.
Why does it matter that it's serotonin in your brain?
Yeah,
Why?
I mean,
who cares?
And then we can get into like the evolution of that kind of reaction in your brain in terms of like, why do humans or dinosaurs or ghosts or gibbons or goblins, sorry, I had to be all inclusive here, feel that way.
We all.
So, okay, you know what? I want to expand on this more too, because I feel like love is often tied closely with family, and I actually don't think family is blood. I reject that. I think family is chosen.
I think
so. Like,
I think
Go
that
ahead.
that is totally true on a social level. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be. I mean, at the same time, I think that in most species, humans notwithstanding, your kin is probably going to have an impact on who you treat and how you treat them, I suppose.
Definitely.
But when there's more complicated factors, I would tend to agree.
Yeah, well, one interesting thing is if you look at the history of like moral, if you look at the history of like moral development in human societies, there's this concept called the moral franchise, which is basically which individuals do you think of as moral agents who are worth, moral consideration. And essentially, the history of moral development in human society has been the extension of the moral franchise to larger and larger groups. So
Because we're a social species.
right, but the thing is that at the very basic level, like if you look at very, very technologically primitive, like hunter-gatherer societies, the moral franchise rarely extends much beyond immediate kin. It usually gets about as far as like distant kin, and that's about it. And then any moral consideration beyond that is a bit unusual. And then if you look at somewhat larger tribal societies where a conglomeration of people who speak about the same language, who live in roughly the same area, the moral franchise often extends to members of the tribe and not beyond it. But then as you look to you know wider societies, like if you look at say some of the medieval societies that were united even across national boundaries or political boundaries by things like religious creeds or whatever, usually the moral franchise would be extended to at least co-religionists. And now humanity is at a point where most humans would say that the moral franchise should encompass at least most human individuals. I mean, there's some gray areas at certain areas, like what about murderers or rapists or something? But the general assumption is that we should assume that any given human has a moral franchise. And yes, I'm just going to ignore the furry things going on.
Listen,
I was just gonna say, can we talk about how gloriously you're putting all of this? Meanwhile, Chesh is having far too much fun off to the side.
I was just thinking this is like the shit post to end all shit posts that belongs on like deep into YouTube. It's just scrolling through sexy Where Garurumon pics while Dapper like whacks this poetic human morality.
I have a half a mind to reap way too much karma from Reddit tomorrow from this.
I
Yeah,
know.
I just hope for your sake that you have safe search on while you're showing your Google searches.
Absolutely not. I like to live on the edge.
All right, well,
Unlike you, man, I live on the edge.
No,
listen. That's the most shocking thing of the evening, that you don't have safe search on, and that we haven't stumbled upon some, Rule 34 shit or whatever.
I'm pretty careful. I don't have the word, anthro in there.
That's where it gets a little bit. Or there was also a suggested term female. That could also get a little dicey.
No, where
I didn't type in.
rule is
Listen,
that?
I didn't key in Renamon. Okay, I'm not that risky.
Okay, look, I know that turning gender of any character is another rule of the internet, but which number is it? Do you guys know?
60 something? Hold
Is it
on.
64?
Is it rule? Okay, hold
I'm
on.
pretty sure it's Rule 64. Rule 64 is the gender bend rule, and then there's subsets of Rule 64, if I am not mistaken.
Rule
Oh,
63.
Smitty says
Ah,
Rule
63.
34 shit or whatever.
63.
Smitty says Rule 34 shit or whatever. Don't play dumb with
Don't
me.
play dumb with
or whatever.
Don't.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I remember
And
when
Smitty was on point with the Rule 63. This guy
Yeah.
remember
knows
when-
his rules of the internet for some apparent reason.
I remember when the
Some reason.
current health crisis, when I found out that had been Rule 34, and I was like, yeah, no, it's true.
CoFFA 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I
next
got Rule
question.
34 like fast.
I think between the two of you, you both put it fantastically. I don't think there's anything that needs to be added.
Thank you.
Obviously, love comes from where Garurumon. Moving on. Question 87. Is love just a bunch of chemicals reacting in your brain? I think we already went over this. Next question.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree.
Next. Serotonin, moving on.
Question 88. Do human beings have free will, or is everything predetermined?
I don't know.
I have an interesting idea about this, but it's just an idea. It's not something that I necessarily believe. It's just an idea.
You go first, Chesh. My answer is very simple. I don't know. I don't know either.
So
Right, and I'm kind of in the same camp. Like, I don't know, but if I was forced, I would very lightly tap on predetermination.
I would say predetermination is almost saying it's too directed, but I would say everything is kind of is happening and has to happen in the way that it does because there isn't really any other choice. But it can't be predicted because we just don't have the processing power to understand and know all of the variables. So every reaction that happens has to have happened in the way that it did because of everything that was decided and already happened before it.
I mean, that is determinism. You don't have to know the future, know anything to have determinism be in place.
Yeah, so I would just say to say it's predetermined is I wouldn't use that verbiage just because I think it brings too much baggage to the table of like as if there's some kind of direction or as if it's been decided ahead of time. Do you know what I mean?
Good point.
Yeah.
And that's why I refer to determinism rather than...
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I think saying predetermined is it's too cognitive. It's assuming too much cognitive bias behind it, just because of the way the term is used. So I wouldn't use that verbiage, but arguably, yeah.
Maybe our video maker here is a Calvinist, and he actually is on the side of, and I say he again, the person is on the side of predeterminism because that's a big Calvinist thing.
That is a big Calvinist. Oh God, I am too drunk. Moving on.
Yay!
Moving on.
Next question.
Next question.
Do animals have free will? 89.
Okay, so what?
The same way we do, I guess?
That's what I was going to say. I don't
right.
Who
Why would it be different?
Or what? But whatever we have, all of the other organisms have.
I would have two questions in response. Go ahead. I'll ask my questions after.
Oh, I would say that the higher, so if free will is a thing that exists, then the more complicated the cognitive processes of an animal is, the more likely it is that it has something that is very similar to human free will if humans have it. If humans have free will, does that mean that spiders do? No, I don't think that follows. But if humans have free will, does that mean that dolphins or chimpanzees do? Yeah, probably.
I would assume like something like an insect's mind would be so alien to ours that even if it was able to communicate, we probably wouldn't be capable of communicating with it if it had the same intelligence level, at least not without a whole shitload of work.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Although there are some species of arthropod, like jumping spiders, like Portia, right? They're pretty weird. They kind of have a lot more going on than we give them credit for. They're strategic in their hunting style. They can see.
They make choices. If they make choices, you would argue that's free will.
I would at least tentatively dip my toe in that pool. Yes.
All I know is that my dogs have free will until I bring out sliced cheese.
Listen,
then they are my puppets at that point.
That's me. Someone brings out some sliced cheese near me, and I'm the same way.
I would have. Whenever I get myself down to like the Creation Museum for a meetup with Erica, so we can tour it together, I just have to bring some string cheese and a fishing pole, and I can just get her to lunge at the fishing pole. You can just leave me
all around the
Yes.
I would have two questions in response to this. Were the animals given a choice to go onto the ark? And did the animals get to like a vote amongst themselves which ones would be allowed? And then second question would be, we already know God interferes with free will as per the Bible, so do humans even have free will in that theology? The Pharaoh had his heart forcibly hardened by God. He made a decision. God said, no, I want to flex on you more.
I mean, if we're talking about the triomny, then there's issues with free will already, and heaven and hell and everything else.
And the Bible it's the very reason that free will is such a contentious problem, even in Christian theology, is because the Bible isn't super clear on the matter.
I think it's pretty clear.
Almost like it was written by a bunch of different authors by a bunch of different men.
That's just add it to the list of things of general vagary going on when you've got 66 different authors.
Well,
Yeah.
no. So
Is
one
that
of
what
the
happened
things-
with these questions? There were 66 different people coming up with 100 questions.
It could be. I will
Maybe
say,
that would explain the why. What is your favorite color question?
I do have to say though, of the 66 books, it is very likely. So if you're going to go with the typical Protestant canon, of those 66 books, it is almost certain that several of them have the same author. So it's going to be less than 66 total.
No, hold on though, Dapper, because with our situation with the Pentateuch, they give Moses that credit for that entire thing, right? And so it's like documentary hypothesis. We don't know
Right.
how, right?
Well,
You
the
could
documentary
is it not
hypothesis,
possible
you
that
could
more
go
than
with
one author wrote one of the books? So Genesis could have 2 or 3 different authors. Is it
That
one?
was my thoughts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the Pentateuch is generally thought by the documentary hypothesis, which has a lot of support, to have had 5 authors. However, the other books of the Bible, it is likely that number 5 is more than compensated for by single authors writing multiple books. So
That checks out.
Oh
It's-
my
it's
god,
really-
Dapper, why are you talking about something you obviously don't know anything about and don't have a degree in history?
Yeah, can I
Yeah.
actually back up just a second to add something here? I'm purposely shutting the hell up because I know for a fact that Dapper has done a bunch more research, God, than I ever have on this subject, and that means that I will defer to him in this case because
Right.
I really don't know. And if we talk about, why do you blindly trust science? It's doing that to a whole nother level. You are trusting the consensus of multiple people who have put in their entire lives on one subject and who have extensively studied. And that's the
after
best
looking
case we
through
know of.
multiple
And even in
options.
this situation, I will defer to Dapper because I trust him more than I trust myself.
well, thank you.
One
Let's appreciate
person
that.
can't
Yeah.
study and learn everything, so we have to rely on each
Oh
other.
God, no.
We have to,
Yeah.
otherwise
Right.
we'd make no progress.
I
But
will-
especially, 4 or 5 drinks me and one drink Dapper is
Hey,
a
I'm on
different
my second
case.
drink.
Heyo.
Yeah, Dapper, I'm trying to go slow for this after show as well. We're going to be going in blind.
Oh my
So wait,
goodness.
am I the only one getting completely drunk right now?
No, I've been drinking. I just finished one so far. But
just
it was a drink the size of my head, so
I'll just say this.
Okay.
I'm not sober. However, I spent years in the Navy, so I can act sober if I need to.
Hey. All right, next question.
All right.
Do animals feel? Yes. Have you ever heard a
Yeah.
dog yelp? Yes. Yes, they do.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
This is, even if we set aside agency or consciousness, it's evolutionarily advantageous to feel pain. Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Biologist,
I know-
you tell us. Do animals feel pain?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. That is
Yeah.
that is honestly one of it's hard. It's a hard tie from Do I Hate Christmas and this one for most my question.
Yeah.
Because humans are animals, so
I've heard people who argue
Also
so
they-
hard against anthropomorphizing other species that they'll say, well, even that is a little up in the air. And I'll just say, shut up. Have you ever seen an animal with a broken bone? They
Oh my
act exactly like you would.
I've
That
also
animal
seen
is in
dogs
pain.
that don't have broken bones pretending they have broken bones to elicit sympathy from people because they're assholes.
I am getting flashbacks of my dog from half a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
fake coughing? Fake coughing dogs?
I have a really, really smart dog, and anytime she feels that she's not getting enough attention, she lifts particularly her right paw
Oh no.
and has a limp, and then you give her love, and then she just trots off all happy.
My
that's so
golden,
awesome.
my golden last night we just put new flea medication on her and because of how difficult it's been to get her to the vet to get the good oral kind that they just take it as a treat, we had to use the old fashioned kind that goes between the shoulder blades. She sleeps with me every night, and so she walked into my room looking all sad, and I was like, no, you can't get on this bed with all that gross shit on your back. And so she laid down all pathetic and full on croissant mode, where they look like a little
Yeah.
Yes.
second I turned the light off, I feel like this big glump right on my knees, and I got my knees right there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Did you mean the whole night?" And I was like, "Well,
My dog will not sleep with me.
really?
Ever.
Mine spoons
Yeah.
with me. She's bad."
So mine will get frustrated because my partner and I will turn and readjust and cuddle in different areas. And then my dog's like, all right, I've had enough. I'm leaving you. You guys are annoying.
You guys are gross. God. All right, next question. Do animals have souls? 91. I really don't think this is a question for atheists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think.
I
This,
think
well,
you're
and-
asking the wrong crowd, but Bucko.
and
Just out of curiosity, what is the crowd they should be asking?
About souls?
For animals, I guess theists,
Oh,
or at least
yeah.
people who believe that souls exist.
Yeah.
well, and I can.
Well, I mean, a lot of those don't attribute souls to animals, though.
Yeah, but
So
that's why it's a question.
Native
some-
Americans, maybe?
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. As
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah, as something of a agnostic party, I'll go ahead and say, insofar as humans do. I mean, you're not going to be able to draw that line, so.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, if a human has a soul, like I said, like do many other animals probably have them? Then yeah, probably.
And
Do they
how would
all?
you
I don't
determine
know.
which ones
Does it-
would and
does
which
it-
ones wouldn't?
Right, like it's a there's a continuum problem. Like, does a sponge have a soul if humans do? Well, probably not.
Sponge.
Does
Probably.
a jellyfish? Does a
Probably.
jellyfish? I don't know. Does a chimpanzee? I guess probably.
Make an evil paper
I-
bag.
I have to break this in. I don't know how to pronounce names, I'm sorry, but someone in the chat says, ask the Dark Souls crowd. You died. I can feel that text in my heart.
You
okay?
You died. All right, next question. Yes, animals should have rights. Dear God,
Yes,
there
that's
are
why
laws about the treatment of animals.
Exactly. Moving on.
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated as to exactly what rights various things should have. But as a general rule, yeah, I'm not okay with people needlessly torturing animals. So at the very least, animals should have the right to not be needlessly tortured.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
also very on the fence of this whole thing where it's like people experiment on the great apes, because on one hand, obviously we need medications that are tested on the most analogous version to a human, but at the same time they're essentially non-human persons. So can you even be ethical in testing at all? I don't know the answer to that question. I certainly don't like the idea that
I have a really interesting answer to that question. We have a lot of people in a lot of jails for a lot of time. I totally think we should utilize the prison population to do testing in ethical standards, though. So you'd be able to do some testing, not all testing, and they would have to sign off on it for potentially either reduced sentences or removed sentences. It would be a choice.
I had an issue until your last sentence.
Yeah,
Okay.
the for reduced sentence actually, yeah, that seems reasonable to me.
well, but
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a line, right?
There
Like,
would be
you might-
work. Yeah, you would have to figure out. There would have to be discussions about actually figuring out the logistics of what would be allotted and what wouldn't be allotted, and then
Right.
you'd have to also have like lines of okay, well, what would be acceptable as ethical testing versus unethical testing.
Yeah,
Wait,
if you're
are
in
we
for-
suggesting D-class personnel?
SCP. Yes.
personnel
Yes.
or suggesting D-class personnel?
All right, I just wanted to make sure that I was on board here. Like, okay,
I am
yeah,
I am also probably one of the more meaner people in the world, and I'm like, yeah, no, I think this should be an option. I don't think it should be forced on people, but hell, fuck it, we're not doing anything else. These people are going to be in jail for the rest of their lives. They may as well do something useful.
I think that's something that should, if we get to a point where we have an even remotely just prison system,
Yes.
that should be on the table. But
that
right
will be
now
a while.
we're still coping with privatized prisons.
Well, that's an American problem.
okay,
Yeah.
true. Okay, true. I had forgotten there were some Canadians.
There are
in the
some
room.
places that aren't America. All right. Next question. Should people have rights? Yeah, probably basic ones.
You're kidding me, right?
Argument? Yes.
Yeah.
Is anybody?
Yes.
Yes. Next question.
Yeah.
God, in every shape, way, and form.
Yes,
Next.
100%. There's a yes.
This is not a question.
Yeah, that's not.
Question
Yes.
number 95.
Right.
Does all life on Earth have a common ancestor?
Almost
100%.
certainly. I'm
Yep.
going to go with almost certainly because we haven't found all life. Maybe there's something we'll find with a different genetic code.
Ooh.
It'll be a weird thing.
Right, it's possible.
True, Dapper. Let's alter this and say, does all known life have a common ancestor?
Yeah. Then the answer is yes. Yeah.
Yep, I would still say.
The
I would still
author
say it's
of the
very
video
probable.
is in the chat. Hi. Thanks for
Wait,
coming
really?
by. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wait.
Hey, who is it?
Don't they?
Aramus.
Erasmus.
ERASMUS.
Oh, well, oh, there it is. Yeah. There
I
it is.
Aramus?
welcome.
Awesome. Yeah. I hope we're not being mean.
Erica, I don't appreciate being called an odd-looking bug. You are the one that thinks we are related to bugs. So if anything, that is what I should be calling you. But I won't do that. I would never sink that low. Did I call Erasmus an odd-looking bug?
I don't think
No.
so.
No, I don't think so.
My drunk
why,
brain says no.
why would you?
I
Humans
don't-
aren't bugs.
It's
Weird.
Is it possible that I said this individual is an odd bird and meant
That
it
could
in
be.
like,
Oh, that's possible.
hold on, let me ask.
That's a turn of phrase. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna play the next question while you ask.
Okay.
I like the music.
I do too, actually.
Question number 96. Where is your evidence that all life on Earth has a common ancestor? Dapper, would you like to touch on that, and then we'll move down to Erica, because I feel like the two of you are probably going to be able to answer this the best.
Yeah, so there are. It's basically, where isn't the evidence that all life on Earth has a common ancestor? So you
So
can
is
look
your
at-
answer look at the trees?
Well, I mean, to some extent. So the thing is, with
Look
any
at the trees, Dapper.
that you decide to pick, right? You can find deep homologies in gross morphology, in genetics, in biochemistry. All life tends to use the same basic genetic, with very few exceptions. There have been a few codon reassignments here and there, but to an extremely high degree, codon assignments have not really changed throughout life, even though they don't have to be exactly what they are. They aren't completely arbitrary, but there are other options that life could have adopted and function just as well. I mean, all life uses the same set of amino acids, even though they didn't have to. All life fits into a twin nested hierarchy between genetics and morphology. We can observe evolution occurring now, resulting in the kinds of changes that we would expect to see if all life were related. I could just keep going, but I don't want to. So here we go, Erica.
For me, some of the best evidence would be quite similar to what Dapper said. Universal genetic languages, as well as the fact that we can trace back using mutation rates, molecular clocks to find divergence times, and that those divergence times match the divergence times within a general range of what we find in the fossil record. Seeing evolution today, a myriad of different transitional forms. I mean, you could go on and on and on. The fact that there is no genetic line that can be drawn between any two given species that is significant enough to claim that they came from different ancestors speaks volumes.
The only thing I'd have to add is that I wouldn't be surprised if there was some type of incredibly early life that just did not continue, and that we just don't see it because it was inefficient or just not matched toward what we see shared across almost everything today. But that doesn't mean that, I mean, obviously then still that original life form was a common ancestor for everything now. So
Yeah, everything we've found so far has a common ancestor. Is that
right?
a requirement of the universe? No.
No.
So far.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, before the Cambrian explosion, it was really hard to gather any type of evidence from any type of organism before, because they were all very soft, for lack of a better word that I'm not going to try and think about right now.
We do have some Precambrian fossils, but
But they're
not
pretty damn rare.
Although,
Yeah.
there was a discovery recently of something that is very similar to what you would expect for Bilaterian, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, are we sleeping on the whole Ediacaran?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Ediacaran the Ediacaran biota is a very fascinating thing, although it's hard to say exactly how those organisms are related to modern organisms, because we're at a point now where it's not even clear if they're animals or what.
I think with well, yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. As far as I remember, Dickinsonia was at least given because of the bilateral symmetry. If it's not a direct relative, or I mean, I guess it would be a direct relative no matter what, but like
Right.
down the lineage, it would have to be something quite close to what the original sort of members of Animalia looked like, right? Because it's got that bilateral symmetry.
Potentially, but one of the complications there is it's not technically bilateral symmetry, it's bilateral glide symmetry. So it's bilaterally symmetrical in the same way that like footsteps are, whereas they're offset a bit. They're not directly bilaterally symmetrical. So it's weird there.
Okay, I did not know that, but that is cool to know.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Guys, I can't even spell. We should finish this up.
Well, we're close. We only have 4 more.
Do you believe that human beings came from monkeys?
Human beings came from an
Ooh.
animal that was very, very similar to what we currently consider to be monkeys.
Yeah,
Right. I would actually say no, but just because that monkeys are cousins rather than,
Yes.
direct ancestors.
Precise. Yeah.
What I
Although
will say. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, although we are catarrhines, so we are technically old world monkeys ourselves. Just in the fact, and for anybody who's like, I ain't no monkey. Everything we use to categorize the catarrhines as catarrhines, you also have. You have your forward facing nostrils, your binocular eyes. Well, I guess I need to stop drinking, but I just not.
Goddamn
Tell me
boosted
about it.
bonobos.
I
So,
know.
I actually am just going to go ahead and say yes, because if we define monkey as simiforms, then humans are simiforms and humans are monkeys. And the common ancestor. So when you go with the whole cladistics thing, right? Like, so what is a clade? It's the most recent common ancestor of a group of organisms and all of its descendants. The monkey clade, if it's simiforms, that means that humans are a member of simiforms or formies, or however we're going to pronounce that E. I don't care. Which means humans are monkeys. Which means that the ancestor of humans were monkeys until you get earlier than simiformes. So I would actually just say yes. Humans not only came from monkeys, but they are. But I understand the reasons to word it otherwise.
Yeah, I think it depends a bit on the semantics. That's why we tend to say that we have an ape-like ancestor rather than strictly an ape, even though we're talking about like very semantic, very minor differences.
If you actually found the fossils of the actual common ancestor between, say, genus Pan and genus Homo, it would be an ape.
Yes.
So yeah, I tend to just go with yeah, sure. If this clade counts as monkeys, then yeah. But I understand, the reasons why you might want to say, monkey-like ancestor or something. Because it's not modern monkeys, which is what a lot of people mean.
Well, nor is it necessarily old world monkeys in the way that we consider them today, at least the kind of the first progenitors, right? I mean, I guess at some point, yes, but I'm with
it
it.
depends on exactly how you want to use the word. I think we all agree in terms of the actual what really happened in reality. It's just some of us would prefer to use words in different ways, it's okay.
Yes, with you.
Colloquial terms
can't be.
Semantics is always a bitch.
Can't be. Can only be used in one way. We're prescriptivists here.
Man, I need to go back to school then, because I spent a lot of time arguing for descriptivism.
All right,
Okay,
next question. Oh no, go for it.
I have to point out, ugly German truths, God, pointed out the term, but I was trying to think of this whole time, which was Luca.
Yes.
Yay.
Excellent.
All right, next question.
Yep.
Do you believe that monkeys came from fish?
This is the same answer, but just moved back to our.
Do you believe the dogs came from pine trees?
Yeah.
All right, next question. You want to elaborate?
Well, I'll elaborate quickly. It's very short.
Pontificate.
So let's say we go with a fairly narrow definition of fish, right? And osteichthyons are fish, which is the bony fish. So we're just gonna say sharks and rays and skates and dogfish, ghost sharks. Those aren't fish. They're two different. Only osteichthyons count as fish. Well, guess what? Humans are osteichthyons. So, and if humans are monkeys, then monkeys are osteichthyons. So yes, monkeys came from fish if we want to use it that way.
Yay! Great. Next question. Second last question. Do you believe that fish came from an amoeba?
No, because amoebozoans are a sister group to another group that split off, which I don't even remember what it's called, but amoebas are not the ancestors of animals. Amoebas and animals split off from each other before animals even were a thing.
All right, as we're finishing off answering this, I want everybody to put their best guess on what do you think the last question is going to be?
Where did the amoeba come from?
Where did the amoeba come from?
I kind of hope Erasmus is still in the chat, because if you are Erasmus, I would like to say maybe update this after looking through this series of videos. Like, put out a different 100 questions or just any number, right? Just questions for atheists or questions for non-creationists or something, and maybe use the things that we've said to help shape the questions so that there are fewer repeats and that they are more in line with answers that you would actually like to get based on what people who disagree with you
What you're
think.
actually asking, yeah. Bent Hovind, no relation. Oh, why do you hate amoeba?
Yeah.
Because they took everything from me.
Well, hey, there are brain-eating amoebas out there, so that's a good reason to hate amoebas.
Well, I have to. Yeah, I've got the clip pulled up. We'll play the clip to see if Erasmus is correct in their claim about bugs or something. Erasmus, you were offered to come in if you would like after we ask your last question, and you can ask us any clarifying questions because I think we'll have just a touch of time before we'll have to wrap. So let me know in the chat if you want to. I will send you my Discord link.
Play the clip. I'm sad if I did that.
Question 100: Is Steve McRae an atheist?
Amazing question 100.
I would be so happy if that was the question. That would make me laugh so much. All 100 questions was actually just a troll for that last question. Here we go.
That'd be amazing.
That would be so good. I would applaud that. That'd be mwah. All right, let's go. Hey, where did the amoeba come from? And with that, I think we understand exactly why you're getting the questions you're getting. You don't have a proper understanding of evolution nor abiogenesis.
All right, let's get to this. Let's get to this bug clip. I gotta know.
This last question was really anticlimactic. All right.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, it's question 100. You gotta end on a high note. Come on.
Well, I do want to point out real quick though that amoebozoa is a derived form of uniconta, and that's the answer to the question. Amoebas came from uniconts. Hooray! Taxonomy.
Hooray!
Yay!
All right. They said they couldn't come in perhaps some other time. No problem. We can set that up if you really want to. Maybe I could even set it up with a panel if they're willing to have a full-on conversation with you. So let's
I probably would be, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we'll talk about that and work on that in the background if you would like to. So let's play the clip. I started at. You said the clip was at 48 and some change, so I put it back to 45 so we can get a little bit of context, and we'll listen until 50 seconds and we'll see what we get. And then I'm gonna copyright claim myself. Here we go.
So I'm about to hear my own voice and be pissed off. Is what you're
Oh, don't
Yes.
even. You listen. Your voice isn't as nasally as mine.
Is it going?
We're talking over ourselves. Hold on. There we go.
Okay. Like theory of mind for other organisms. I mean, it's for yeah. If I will end my point by just saying, if there is, at some point we should be able to measure it.
To measure it, or at least have some reason to think that it exists in the first place, whether it be mathematically or whether it be like theory, some kind of proper theory crafting.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Wait, haven't you guys heard the soul weighs like, what is it, 16 grams or something?
I have heard that claim, yeah.
So, but in all seriousness, I have had a bunch of classes on neuroanatomy and just how the brain works and the brain structures, and there's nothing that that even hints that, oh yeah, there's something else going on here.
Right.
Nothing.
The only thing that I find kind of interesting that
It's an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
Oh, am I too far back? Apparently it's about question 11. Let's just jump forward a bit then.
Wow.
Because that's, yeah, okay. Here's question 10.
Get away from me talking. This is a good choice.
Yeah. Zeus to me, I wouldn't classify them as a god. I don't think I was just talking about this. Anymore. The qualifications for a god has evolved. Qualifications.
They're
not good enough to be gods anymore. They might be beings with unexplainable power, but I wouldn't call them gods at this point.
F's in the chat for Zeus and Thor.
Yeah, fuck off. You're not real gods. F's in the chat.
Are they not anthropomorphic enough? Are they not Never mind. I'm not even going to do a terrible joke. Moving on.
I just want to say one thing. It's such a weird question to put in your video for atheists. Like,
do you really think there are a lot of people out there calling themselves atheists, but who believe in like Krishna or something? Like, do you think that's a common thing?
It's a good point.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Next question. Why do you care so much about what other people believe? Because I throw in our face a lot, and people make videos like this asking us questions.
Honestly, I usually don't. Most of the time, like
Yeah, I usually don't care either.
If you're getting the science wrong, I care about that.
I care if you're pushing legislation.
No, that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think too, when I do care, it's either because the science is just blatantly wrong, or it's being shoved in areas where it doesn't belong. But sometimes I'm genuinely just interested, but not to a degree where it's like I wouldn't classify it as caring. It's mostly interested in the same way as you might see like an odd bug while you're walking down the street.
Oh. Did you catch it?
I missed it.
Okay, I'm gonna
I
click
was
it back.
typing.
I'm gonna click it back just a slight. Oh, that was too far. Oh god, we've gone too far.
When
It's
will
almost
Ben be
like-
now?
This is kind of telling to me about the
But sometimes I'm genuinely just interested, but not to a degree where it's like I wouldn't classify it as caring. It's mostly interested
it.
in the same way as you might
Yeah,
see
neither
like an
can I.
odd bug while you're walking down the street.
You can't hear it?
I can hear it now.
Oh, Erica, you're muted.
Yeah, it's kind of in and out.
Okay, did you figure out what it was? I caught it. I figured out what they're saying.
No,
You're
tell
talking
me.
about being interested in. They asked, why do you care so much what other people believe? You said you don't really, but you might take a passing interest, as in like the same way you would find interest in an odd bug.
Oh,
Hey!
yes.
Okay.
Come on.
And around here we call that
Aw.
quote mining.
Oh,
Yeah.
Erasmus, I didn't mean it like that.
Quote mining
Come
and taking out of context. That isn't what you
yeah.
said. You did not call anybody a bug in any imaginable way. What you said was you're not really that interested or care that much about what other people believe unless you take some kind of a curiosity in it or a fascination. The same way you might see a bug and go say, "Hey, that's interesting." You're not going to change the bug. You don't care to attack the bug. You're like, "Oh, hey, that's interesting. Let me look or talk about this for a minute," and then move on. You didn't call anybody a bug.
I feel like if our friend
After
is
insulting everybody by saying, "Do you love your family?" I think they can kind of fuck off with that shit.
Oh man,
Here-
especially after this guy's underestimating severely how interesting I find bugs.
It's just insulting to bugs.
Look, Erasmus, I'm just going to assume that you're in the chat. I'm gonna speak to you directly right now, right? It's clear that you're interested in having some kind of discussion with people who disagree with you. And I would like for you to be able to have that discussion, because I think those are interesting discussions. And even if it doesn't lead anywhere particularly interesting in terms of like people changing their mind or anything, I still think I wish for you to have the positive experiences that can come with discussing politely with people who disagree with you. If you want to have those kinds of experiences and have them in an honest, polite, and cordial manner, my hearty recommendation to you is that you not go out of your way to put the worst possible interpretation on what people are saying, because that seems like what you've done here. I don't know if it's honest or not. It feels like it would be hard for me to take that as something that was honest if it was directed back towards me, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here and just say, stop and think about the full context of what's being said and try not to assume ill intent on the part of your interlocutors.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that was a really nice way of putting that, because I would have just said, "Grow up, f off." That's not what anybody said.
Here's what I'll add to it, because I have a decent amount of psychology behind me, even though I'm gonna like try and parse it down, especially because I cannot properly think or talk right now.
Glorious.
Is that if you go looking for a fight, you're going to find it. You're gonna find issues here and there. What I will say is that we took a lot of your questions on maybe a level that wasn't obvious or wasn't intentional, because we wanted to be as honest and we wanted to talk about difficult questions when maybe they weren't intended as such. Like, we really tried to be
As
honest
charitable as
and
possible.
give you exactly. We thank you, because I can't English. We want to be as charitable as possible, and I would love for you to do the same, because none of us mean disrespect. You put this out, and it's something for us to all respond to, and we wanted to do that, and not only just respond to something that was there, but we wanted to give it the best spin and the best intent that we could have hoped for. So please do the same thing with us, because none of us mean well, maybe with all the hate stuff we mean disrespect, because it was kind of funny after the fourth time, but
Yeah,
we don't mean disrespect in the large portion of things. We want to honestly answer your questions.
I think too, first of all, I appreciate all my guys here standing up for me on that. I certainly, did not intend for that to be taken in the way that I think that it was incidentally sort of received. I do not, Erasmus, think of you as a bug. In fact, if anything, coming from a dork like myself, that is quite the compliment. But yes, I think in the future that it might be wise to assume that others have good intentions, at least on the large. I have found, at least in my anecdotal experience, that it leads to many more good conversations than you could ever hope.
I am the meanest person in this room. I'll tell you that right now. I am the meanest person out of all three of the other people in here. I'm the asshole here. If you're gonna pick on something that somebody said, you need to pick the right target.
We have something from Erasmus in the chat. It says, well, isn't the underlying implication that I am unusual or weird?
No, that's not what the context of that says. No.
Like,
from me, I'll speak for myself since I said it. No, my intention is, listen, I took entomology in my undergraduate education, and it was one of my favorite courses that I took, because I really cannot stress this enough. I love arthropods. So I guess it would almost be, if I were to kind of move that into the mainstream, it would be like flipping through a TV channel, flipping through the TV and finding a TV show that you haven't previously been invested in, but decide to give a shot. Because you're curious. That's the underlying factor, is it's a curiosity. Even though we disagree, and I still want to know the questions that you have for myself and for the other guys on this panel. So yeah, no, not odd looking at all. I'm sorry if it crossed that way. That was not my intent.
There's a difference between like somebody not understanding an analogy and somebody looking for something to complain about. I run into this quite regularly where somebody will pick through. I'm not saying that Erasmus is doing this. This is an example of something that we deal with on a regular basis, particularly Steve and I. People will comb through whatever we've said and try to interpret it in the worst possible way, to straight up say, oh, well, this means you hate women. And it's like, what? I said I didn't like bras. What the hell are you talking about? And that's a personal, I just don't want to wear one. What are you saying? This is the kind of...
bras not women?
Right?
I'm so confused.
Right? So the thing is that we deal with this on a regular, and if you start, your best bet is, instead of being accusatory, is to ask for clarification. Hey, I think you referred to me as a bug. I'm not sure what you meant, and ask for that clarification, because a lot of the times that's how you run into... You're not going to have a very good conversation, and people aren't going to want to talk to you if you're just going to be accusatory.
You want to point out, though, Erasmus also said that that this person does appreciate the thoughtful answers, by the way. So that is, thank you, and I'm glad that you... what I think is nice is that Erasmus noticed that this was going on in regards to, their video, and took the time to come by and actually
watch all the answers,
watch them, and take that on board. And I think that is the start of what could be an interesting dialogue. So
absolutely, I would love for them to come in at some point, potentially with this panel, if they're comfortable enough with that. I know it might seem intimidating. There is 4 people in here, but I promise I'm the meanest one. So and they will out yell me to be nice if that ends up happening.
I think I can
rarely eat humans.
fair. I think I can speak for all of us too when I say that we had an absolute ball with the questions, even though we disagreed with the premise of some or poked fun at you for a couple of slight repeats. I think we all. I guess I can only speak for myself. I had a blast with all of them.
There are, however, what I will make clear is there are standards on this channel. Like it or not, I do have standards. They might be goblin standards, but they are standards. So essentially, they're as long as the dialogue stays fine and friendly, that's fine. If we jump to name calling, that shit goes both ways. I will not stop that from happening. I'll probably be the one doing it. So as long as everybody's on the same page, you're gonna get what you throw out. If you're willing to put that out there, then that's fine. We're willing to give it back. It goes both ways. So if it escalates, it escalates. It goes both ways. I'm more than happy to try and set up a time with you if you're interested in doing that. I will put my Discord name in there, and you can add me on Discord, and we'll see if we can get you set up. Small standards, yes. And we'll see if we can get something set up for you guys. Now, is there anything that you, and maybe we can get some clarifications to some of the questions where we were like, we don't know what you mean. Go for it.
I want to jump in really, really quickly. So I am aware that it can be crazy to have people actively responding to you, and I'm speaking specifically to you, Erasmus. While I will say that can be an intimidating, kind of spooky thing, is that you put this out into the internet where anyone can view, but I want to let you know that, at least I hope for myself and everyone else, that we try to take everything very at face value, or if not more. So we were trying to honor the spirit of what you were doing. We didn't intend offense.
I'll change
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, at the most, rather light fun poking.
Right, because at the end of the day, we really, really wanted to be able to honestly respond to these questions, and especially with 4 different perspectives, because all of us could have different ideas.
I didn't know what the theology was of each of these people when I invited them. The closest one I think I probably knew the most was Unholy Roast. I didn't. I was rolling the dice, and I might have pulled on a theist.
And I will say that I'm probably the most likely to be vitriolic because religion has been such a devastating part of my life. However, that doesn't mean that you can't be religious and be good or anything like that. We really wanted to answer these questions because it fits with what we want to be doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Well said.
Yeah. In fact, I would go as far as to say that the people at least watching still don't know my religious positions on this, because I don't care to get into my own personal ones. And in fact, I was skeptical about answering these at first just based on the name of it, because as a rule, I do not get into topics about atheism or theism on my channel, except where such things contradict very well-supported science. And so when I heard questions for atheists, I don't really care. But then I watched them and I was like, no, these are some questions that are...
These are science questions.
There's a lot of science questions. There's also some questions that I feel like the asker misunderstands what people who disagree with him or her normally think.
And this is actually something else I wanted to touch on, is that while I get that there's kind of this, I'm probably misusing the word wrong because I'm still drunk, but zeitgeist, like this general societal idea that you have as an individual about any type of people. However, it's always more fruitful and going to be more honest when you actively ask a person in particular, rather than this, I don't want to say straw man, but essentially straw man that you have in your mind, because every person is different.
We're not really so bad. On the other hand, I appreciate you coming in here. I definitely was talking about somebody else's video recently on that time of the month. I recommend you watch it. It's really great, particularly the last half an hour, because the person whose video we were watching came in flying like a banshee, and it was hilarious and amazing. And they have proceeded to leave 50 comments on the video, not including replies, and then also made upwards of, I think, 10 response videos. So I appreciate you not doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, actually Erasmus has been one of the. Oh, and apparently Erasmus is he, so we got that confirmed.
Oh,
Good.
wonderful.
From Erasmus himself, which I can now say without feeling like maybe I'm being mean.
Sure.
Yay.
So yes, yay! Thank you for confirming that. It's especially tricky over the internet.
That's one of the
because
rules,
it's-
actually, on the internet. There are no girls.
Well,
No,
that's true.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I have to get going pretty soon because I have
Yes.
to fly through as much
We
of
don't know,
the
wrap
debate
up.
as I can
These
before.
two are doing an after show on Dapper's channel. Put the link in the chat if you have it. Unholy Roast, what are you up to next?
Well, I will be very honest and say that I'm really struggling during this time right now, and I'm finding it hard to do anything productive. So as soon as I find the willpower and the state of mind to be able to upload things, I have 2 interviews that are ready to be uploaded on the people's different experiences about the current times.
Perfect.
COVID-19. Demonetized.
Yep.
So,
I was trying to avoid that. Just
no,
for
I
you.
don't. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't listen. Don't worry about it. I appreciate the effort, but I have every intention of ruining everything every single time. Kofefe 19. So
Man, and
I'm gonna add one quick thing, and I really have to get out real quick, just real quick, which is, hey, come by for me and Erica and RJ and TD Lane, and I don't know who else. They're Standing for Truth is welcome to the join link if he wants it. He probably won't. Yeah. So for that after show, Tuesday is going to be another Kent with Bent. If you don't know what that is, it's me and Benthoven, no relation, and we just make fun of Kenthoven while we watch one of his things, and we have a drinking game we don't encourage you that you play. I upload or stream basically every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So if you subscribe, you are more or less guaranteed to get 3 or so videos, probably upwards of 4 hours of content each week. And I'm out.
okay,
Bye,
I gotta
Dapper.
get to thanks, dudes.
bye, Erica. Thanks for coming. All right, so we're just gonna do the last wrap up. Tomorrow I have Caffeine Corner on Steve's channel. Erasmus, we are planning on looking at another one of your videos, and we'll be looking at that. And that is going to be the Flat Earth one. So I have a couple of people coming in, and I didn't want to spoil it until the very end. The people that we're looking at coming in is Truth Through Science, Benthoven, no relation, and me, and Fight the Flat Earth. We'll be checking out that video also. So, don't delete it on us. Thanks for coming by. Let me know. I sent my Discord information in the chat. And that's it from us. We'll be doing another crossover as soon as I can get everybody's times and availability. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you to everybody who's a member, and we're going to be streaming, I believe, Minecraft on Wednesday. When we stream that, I'll go through kind of what the expectations are for the membership and stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.